Hey, what's going on, No Nation? CJ Wilson here with DoakTalk. We're at the halfway point of spring practice. Time flies. We're having fun, right? FSU did have their second scrimmage over the weekend. I want to talk about some of the talking points of the scrimmage from what I heard. Had some people that was on ground for the scrimmage and was able to see it up close and personal. So to get there, I guess you could say their firsthand take on the scrimmage was pretty encouraging. Before we get started, Dope Talk is brought to you by DASH.FI, the modern charge card for digital ad spend. DASH.FI is a business-to-business corporate expense card program that gets you the highest cash back on the market starting at 3%. Most companies start off at 1.5 with DASH.FI. We're doubling that with 3%. If anything from mailing packages to potential customers, DASH.FI definitely has you covered. So again, if you want to take care of this great deal, take advantage of this great deal, go ahead and hit the description on our link. And if you can't get through with that, email I got Chris. He's also in the description comment as well. All right, guys. A lot of talk of the town has been, the quarterback and how the quarterbacks look and how the quarterback performed. FSU went out and grabbed DJU out of Oregon State and then was the former Clemson quarterback as well. He had himself a day Saturday. Mike Norvell pretty much said this was his best practice of the spring. Big time throws. Had multiple touchdown drives. Had a lot of big throws that just stood out to. We hear a lot of things about his arm and things like that. Reason why he was a 5-star and that type of deal. So all the things that you heard about DJU coming into transferring to FSU to this point has been held to be true as far as the potential he has. Again, he had a lot of big time throws that just made you look like, wow, he has that type of potential. And also he had not a lot of runs. He had one big run rather that showed athleticism, because people think about 6'5", 250. You got to remember he's a guy that can move too, and that's a weapon with running the ball. So I said it to say this. I think we're going to be perfectly fine at quarterback with DJU. There won't be any drop off at all, like a lot of people may have been thinking post Jordan Travis. And even if you look at just Mike Norvell's offenses throughout the years, they've had multiple quarterbacks from the Memphis days to now Florida State, to where things didn't tail off as far as offensive potential. Even though he's had multiple quarterbacks during this time frame, one thing has remained constant: high quality output of offense. He's had one of the better offenses. He's had one of the better offenses in the country since he's been a head coach, or the offensive coordinator, whatever you want to call it. Since he's been calling plays, Norvell has been consistently having an offense built for playmakers. So I think DJU is going to fit right in, and kind of goes back to what my buddy James Coleman said earlier. 3-to-1 touchdown to a turnover ratio is what DJ has for his career. If he can bring it over to FSU and do the same thing, 3-to-1, 3 touchdowns, 1 turnover per game, then FSU will be in a damn good spot to compete for the ACC championship again and that type of deal. So again, if he just gets the playmakers the ball and does what he's supposed to do and not turn the ball over 3-to-1, FSU will be in a great position to win games, because we already know what the defense brings to the table. And to give a little bit more insight on DJU in regards to his situation at Clemson and how that played out down the stretch. As you guys know, DJU did struggle for Clemson during the latter parts. I guess you could say during the second half of his last season at Clemson in 2022. Excuse me. And there's a lot of talks about, competition between him and Cade Klubnik and things like that, and why he transferred and all those type of things. Just kind of going back with some secondhand information from people within, the Clemson organization and things like that. I don't think it was more so a DJU issue. It was more of a scheme issue with that offensive coordinator for Clemson at that point in time. Dabo Swinney did end up moving on from the offensive coordinator in 2022 and went and hired the hot coordinator Garrett Riley from TCU. As you guys know, TCU did go on to play in the national championship against Georgia that year and had one of the toughest offenses in the country. Of course, Garrett Riley is the younger brother of Lincoln Riley. I say all that to say this. This word from what I was hearing within the organization is that they feel like Garrett Riley's scheme fits more so what DJU brings to the table as a player. So again, I say that to say this: don't look at how things ended at Clemson as a detriment to DJU. It was more so a detriment to the offensive coordinator not tailoring their schemes to his strengths. What a good coach does, right? Whatever, and it kind of goes back to my point about Mike Norvell. Riley Ferguson, Brady White, and Jordan Travis are all 3 completely different quarterbacks. But again, it's what a good coach, and this kind of goes back to some Mike Tomlin talks and things like that. A good coach doesn't make the player adjust to their scheme. A good coach adjusts their schemes to the player. I think that's exactly what Mike Norvell will do with DJU. as he's done with other quarterbacks. I mean, hell, you look at Oregon State last year, he was damn good for Oregon State. So even at Clemson, he was damn good for Clemson in certain spurts. Now, there was some struggles again, of course, but again, I don't feel like that was more so of a DJU issue. It was more so of a scheme issue. And of course, when you have scheme issues and things like that, of course, I'm going to be honest with you, from a confidence standpoint, that can affect you too. And I'm pretty sure DJU has some confidence issues down the stretch at Clemson that kind of affect him as well. So leaving Clemson to going to Oregon State for a brand new fresh start was probably best for, well, not probably was best for him, and it landed him at Florida State. So I think we'll be perfectly fine with DJU at quarterback. Won't be any drop off at all as far as the production. Hey, real quick, guys, we do have new membership offers. There are 2 tiers to the membership. We do get videos early like this, and also you have premium access to tailgates and sometimes free tailgates, depending on which one you want to choose. Make sure you guys join. We have 2 tiers. You can click the link right here. Let's talk about the running backs real quick. Lawrence Toafili. He's a bad boy, man. Lawrence Toafili, Mike Norvella said this multiple times. This is the best Lawrence Toafili has looked at during his career at FSU, so that's saying a lot. You know, he's been one of our most reliable players during the Mike Norvell tenure, right? So to say he looks better than any point in time during this FSU career, just saying how much work. This shows how much work Toafili has put into the offense. As you guys know, he has gained some weight. He's more bulkier, but he hasn't lost a step. He's the same explosive running back we've been seeing. I think we can see a 1,000-yard type of season for Lawrence Toafili from an all-purpose standpoint when you factor in his rushing yards and his receiving yards. Last year, we kind of got away from passing to Lawrence Toafili as we did in 2022. You know, we had Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, Jaheim Bell, those guys. You want to get them the majority of the touches in the pass game. I think we kind of get back to that within this 2024 season and, you know, use Lawrence Toafili for the weapon he is. He had a big day on Saturday, didn't play that much. We already know what we have in that type of guy, Lawrence Toafili. Just stay healthy and get ready for spring ball. He's going to have a big year for FSU. Jalen Lucas, speed. He's probably not probably. I think he's the fastest player on FSU's roster by far. Very explosive, as you guys know. This is one of the guys I was very excited for, just from not from what he could do from an offensive perspective. You guys know I'm big on special teams, right? He was one of the best kick returners in the country at Indiana. Very explosive playmaker, fast, elusive, those type of deals. Now you get him in the offense to where, you know, offense built for playmakers, like Mike Norvell stated, right? So they're finding ways to get the ball to Jalen Lucas in creative ways. Had a long TD run, just showed the speed. So I think he's going to have a big year for FSU as well. He's going to be one of the best returners in the country. As you guys know, we do a great job of designing returns and things like that. Coach Norvell takes special teams very seriously, and Coach John Pachulis, he's also a very good special team coach as well. So you add the special teams factor along with what he can bring to the offensive table. I think he's going to have a lot of packages and plays designed specifically for him. Look for Jalen Lucas to have a big time impact as well for FSU this upcoming season. So again, he had a pretty good scrimmage for FSU this past Saturday. Talk about the receivers a little bit, as you guys know. DJU can't have a good day without the receivers having a good day. Malik Benson. He had multiple touchdowns on the day, if I'm not mistaken. He's going to be a playmaker for FSU. He's going to be challenging for, not necessarily challenging. I think he's going to be knocking down a door, rather, to be receiver 1 for FSU. Speed on top of speed, too, right? The transfer from Alabama didn't really fit in with Alabama, what they brought to the table. As you guys know, their quarterback situation wasn't the best at Alabama as far as from a passing perspective. Come over to FSU, new offense, a quarterback that has an arm that can kind of give him the ball downfield in DJU. I think the fit is going to be perfect. Malik Benson had a hell of a day for FSU. Keytron Portier and Hakeem Williams had pretty good days as well. And as you guys know, well, if you haven't heard yet, Destin Hill will be out for the spring with an injury. This injury could be pretty serious, and he's probably going to miss the entire 2024 season. So to have other guys, and I hate that for him because, as you guys know, the situation that Destin Hill has went through to even get to FSU and the work he's put in this offseason, the practices I've been to, he was one of the better receivers we had out there. So it's going to be tough to replace him, but we do have a lot of talent in the room. So to hear the guys like Malik Benson, hear guys like Malik Benson, Hakeem Williams, and Keytron Portier stepping up is good for FSU. We'll see as far as after the spring what their thoughts on the receiver room as far as attacking in the portal and things like that. We'll cross that bridge once we get there. But I do think we still have enough talent in the receiver room to be pretty good moving forward. Let's go to the defense a little bit. Let's talk about the defensive line. The transfers are pretty damn good. Marvin Jones Jr. had himself a day, a couple sacks. He's going to be a playmaker for FSU. What you guys saw at Georgia or lack thereof at Georgia, you won't see that at FSU at all. First of all, a scheme difference. Going from the 3-4 to the 4-3 being a lineman with your hand in the dirt, rushing the passer primarily. We saw how much that benefited a guy like Jermaine Johnson coming over from Georgia to FSU. If they could be the same for MJJ. Body size is great. 6'5", 250. He looks like a player, and that look is transitioning to the field. So you see why he was so highly rated coming out of high school. Marvin Jones Jr. is going to be a big-time playmaker for FSU. Just the other transfers that came in, Grady Kelly, Tommy Wolf from West Virginia, Lolo from Oregon State. Those guys had big-time days as well. We're going to be very good up front, especially, of course, you got Joshua Farmer coming off an injury. He's going to be ready for the season. And Daryl Jackson, I think we're going to be pretty dominant on the defensive line, just like we were last year. I'm not sure we're going to have a Jared Verse type or Braden Fisk type, but as far as overall the depth, the size, and the talent would be perfectly fine. Daryl Jackson is a playmaker. Josh Farmer is going to be one of the better defensive tackles in the ACC. And, of course, Patrick Payton, we know what he brings to the table, adding 15 pounds of extra weight to his frame as well. He's going to be one of the better defensive ends in the ACC and one of the better defensive ends in the country. So I think we're going to be dominant up front. So once you're dominant up front on the defense line, everything else makes it easy on the defense. But overall, it was a pretty good scrimmage for FSU. We had a halfway point of spring practice. Like I said, this is just spring practice, right? The halfway point. When I say the halfway point, like 7, 8 practices in, we still have a second half of spring. We got to go into the summer, of course, and then fall training camp. But I like where FSU is at currently. Mike Norvell has stated multiple times this is the fastest team he's been around at FSU. This is the strongest team he's been around at FSU, and one of the more deep teams he's been around at FSU as far as a total talent aspect. So you put all those things together, and you go into what we're in year 5 of the program, under Mike Norvell's program. Everyone pretty much knows exactly what to expect and things like that. So I feel like we're going to be perfectly fine moving forward. Don't expect, I'll put it this way. The BS days are behind us. The BS days are behind FSU. What you guys seen in 2022, 2023, that's going to be the norm for FSU now. Winning 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 games, that type of deal. Pretty much what Mike Norvell was doing at Memphis, the groundwork has been laid. Now the train is rolling, and it's not stopping. So, again, I think we're in for a very good 2024 season. We have more updates on spring as things progress. Make sure you like and subscribe to this video. We'll have more quick hitters on spring as things progress. Again, I'm CJ Wilson with DoakTalk. Appreciate the time.